Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, October 11th. So we have the moon in Taurus all day. This is definitely going to keep us in our present moment, in our physical bodies. Things are a little bit low, a little bit slow, because of course, Taurus is earth energy. We aren't so keen on looking back. We're not so excited to be looking forward. And instead, we are going to try our damnedest to stay grounded in this present moment and really pluck out the silver linings. Really look at what brings us a sense of safety and security, a sense of groundedness, if you will. And we are definitely going to do all of the things that we possibly can in order to make ourselves feel better. Now, here's the thing. We're still kind of coming off this very intense weekend. Pluto, of course, is still in adjustment period to adapt to his forward direct motion. We are still very much in the full moon energy. And of course, we just had Mercury re-enter into Libran energy just yesterday. Now, today we have a little bit of action taking place, but it is going to be a little bit of an up and down, a back and forth type of day. Again, with the moon in Taurus, we want to stay present in the moment. We want to just kind of pluck out the silver linings. We want to just find comfort and security in the here and now. We don't want to look back. We don't want to look forward. But of course, there's going to be aspects that are going to put us in those situations that we are likely going to struggle with and fight against. We have to keep that in mind. So there are 10 different aspects here today, and 8 of them involve the moon. The moon is going to make a pretty positive aspect with Mercury, who again is just fresh in this Libran energy. Now, the moon is our heart space, our emotions, our intuition. Mercury is our head space. What is going on in that headspace? Well, we just had Mercury re-enter into Libran energy, which means that we're still kind of retracing our steps from August 25th to about the 9th of September. If you haven't listened to that astro forecast, I'm going to recommend you do so that you can get a bigger, broader picture on what this particular energy is. And what I like about this interaction is not only is it a harmonious one, which means that we're trying to bring together our heart and head and get them on the same page, but Venus rules over Taurus energy just as she rules over Libran energy, which means that she is in a whole lot of powerful placements here between this particular aspect. And we're definitely trying to find balance because, you know what? We're in Libra season. Venus is in Libran energy, and we're all about trying to balance those scales. That, of course, is our main mission. So having the moon and Mercury kind of interact in this way, first of all, is just providing us with a little bit of an opportunity to focus on the good things, to focus on the things that are working, that are providing us with safety and security, that are making sense to us. Because, of course, we've had a huge weekend where differences and disappointments were highlighted. Now we have to start plucking out the silver linings and kind of weed through all of the not so nice things in order to find where we are in agreement with certain feelings and thoughts and circumstances going on in the here and now. Now, this could also put us in a position to open us up and kind of have some of the conversations that we all know we need to have, right? Anytime Mercury comes out of a retrograde, there's always these epiphanies that we've had that we want to articulate within ourselves and be able to articulate to other people. And, you know, it has a lot to do with our own truth, with thoughts, with emotions, with ideas, with, you know, reviewing and reframing some of the situations that have taken place. So if you are presented with the opportunity to have this heart-to-heart conversation, to speak your truth, to communicate a little bit more confidently and with clarity, definitely take it. But mostly what we're worried about today is just trying to stay on the same page within ourselves. Now, the sun is going to bump into Uranus in such a way that is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. Okay, I'll just put that out there right now. Now, here's the thing. We will likely see this kind of show up as a trigger, as an activation in our exterior realm. And this could come as a disruption to our day, to our plans. This could be a minor setback or a minor detour where we have to kind of make a change to our plans. But what we're being highlighted to right now is the restlessness that we're feeling, the agitation that we're feeling, the anxiety that we're feeling. First of all, having our plans be disrupted and having a wrench thrown into our plans never feels good. But it's this weird push and pull. And again, remember, we're in Libra season, so the goal is to balance the scales, but of course, we're not there yet. So the scales are kind of out of whack. And the out of whackness that we're experiencing with this particular aspect is that we know we have to change. We know we are planning on changing, but the fear coming up about the changes that we're having to make and having to face is really putting us in a funk, a state of paralysis, creating this anxiety, creating this restlessness. There's like this anticipation that we know that something is about to happen. We know that we have to make a change. We know that the landscape of our lives are changing. And for the most part, this is what we've been waiting for. But now that it's here, we're not as confident as we want to be, kind of entering into this new territory and recognizing all of the elements that will change because of our landscapes changing. So it's almost like we are being faced with some of the dramatic shifts and changes that are going to be, more and more in our lives, but yet the fear that, holy crap, like we're in this space. Now I got to walk the walk and talk the talk. Here I've been praying for change. Here I've just been begging for it. I've been awaiting it. I've been, anticipating it. And now that I'm actually in the moment, seeing it and having to make some of the moves myself in order to align with the new path, the new mission, the new purpose, the new reality, it ain't feeling so good. So this is bringing up a lot of doubts, a lot of fears, a lot of insecurities within us, because again, nobody really likes change, although many of us need change, but it's easier to talk a big game on what it is that you would do in certain situations or circumstances. And then when those situations and circumstances actually arrive, then we're not feeling so big, so bold, so brave. So here's where the struggle kind of is for us today. The moon is going to semi-square Mars. Mars rules over Tuesdays, if you didn't know. That's why the most productive day of the week is Tuesday, because Mars rules over physical energy, action, drive, passion, desires, and even our anger. And of course, he is high up on his horse because, of course, he just ruled over the full moon in Aries. And Taurus energy being ruled over by Venus, which is the feminine energy. Mars, of course, the masculine energy. We have Mars currently in Gemini energy, the intellectual battlefield of pursuit here. And here's the thing. Mars wants to move forward. The moon in Taurus doesn't want to go any further than the here and now. And again, this is the struggle that I kind of mentioned earlier, is that the moon in Taurus just wants to find peace and happiness and comfort in this present moment. As uncomfortable as this present moment may be, we don't really want to look back. We don't really want to look forward. And then we have Mars over here just actively trying to push ourselves forward, make that move, aggress ourselves in pursuit of this new goal, this new vision, this new dream. And of course, there's a lot of pressure in our head because Mars, being the god of war, is just yielding the sword to try and cut through all the bullshit that's keeping us kind of held back and restricted from pursuing new ideas and new, I'm going to say, skills and paths and directions. And, with that, I'm going to say restlessness that we just faced with the sun and Uranus, this is kind of adding a layer of agitation and frustration on that restlessness because, of course, emotionally speaking, we're not ready to move forward. We just want to kind of set up camp here until we feel a little bit better to move forward. So there's a little bit of a conflict here. And then the moon goes ahead and semi-squares, which is a tension point, with Neptune. Neptune is retrograde in Pisces energy in his place of power. And Neptune is the higher octave of Venus energy. But Neptune energy wants us to consider our dreams, consider our goals, consider the visions that we're having, the insights that we're having. really just not what the moon in Taurus wants to do right now. Yes, Neptune is retrograde, so this is a lot of inner reflection. And of course, when we go that far within ourselves to do the work to kind of figure out the highs and lows, the ups and downs, and what this is all about, we get kind of taken away from the physical moment where, we're connected to our physical realm, to our physical body, to what's going on. And that's very much where the moon in Taurus would prefer us to stay. So there is this conflict where there's a part of us that, wants to move off into la la land and wants to create this dream and this vision and remind us of this focus of why it is that we're pushing through the challenges and obstacles that we're currently facing in order to get to where it is that we want to be. But the moon in Taurus is just like, you know what? We can hold off on that for just a little bit. I'm just trying to find a little bit of stability in this present moment. And I'm just trying to make myself feel a little bit stronger, a little bit safer, a little bit better in the here and now before we go ahead and start building and creating new aspects and new elements within life. So we do have this disconnect. The moon is going to come up to, bump into, sit next to, conjunct the true node. And of course, the true node is our soul's path, our destiny's point. It's showing us where it is that we kind of have to align ourselves in order to move forward. And because the moon is in alignment with the true node, which is in this Taurus energy, this is actually the north node, it means that the moon is sitting across from the south node in Scorpio energy, bringing us back to, of course, the life lesson that we've been in for pretty much a year now, that we will continue to be in for, the better part of 2023 until the nodes of the moon change. Once again, we are on this Taurus and Scorpio axis. We are essentially walking down the hallway right now towards the eclipse season that will be popping off here towards the end of the month. If you haven't listened to the October energy forecast or downloaded your zodiac forecast, you should probably do that, because eclipse season is a wild card energy all in itself. But having the moon kind of sit next to and team up with the north node is trying to push us forward, trying to show us the path that we need to walk in order to reach our soul's mission, our soul's purpose. The south node, that of course the moon would be sitting across from right now, in Scorpio, mind you, is what it is that we have to let go of, what it is we have to kind of put an ending to, a death to, what it is that we have to stop fixating on and holding on to for dear life in order for us to actually move on, to grow, to progress, to improve ourselves and get in alignment with this new path, this new mission. And what I will say is that sounds to me like a whole lot of either A, looking forward, or B, looking back, and the moon in Taurus wants nothing to do with either of those particular visions. We want to stay in this present moment, and it is going to be very hard to do that, but there is this element of trying to kind of formulate where it is that we do have to move away of certain things, where we do have to move closer to certain qualities and characteristics and actions in order to pursue this new path. There is this kind of glimmer, this flash, if you will, of the growth that we've had to do, the growth that we need to continue to do, the improvements that we've made, the improvements that we still want to make. And again, it becomes very overwhelming very fast. And then the goal is to connect to the five senses, bring your energy and focus back into your physical body, connect with your here and now, and of course, not get caught up too much in where it is that we're going and where it is that we've come from. The moon is going to bump into Chiron in not the nicest way. Chiron's the wounded healer, and of course, he's retrograde in Aries energy. He was a very, very strong supporting role in the full moon in Aries that we just had, really opening ourselves up to all of the wounds, the fears, the doubts, the insecurities, the pain, the trauma, the suffering, in order for us to realize where it is that we can use all of those energies and those experiences in order to make something good out of what essentially has been bad. Now, this particular aspect is coming at us from the outside world, and it is going to be a trigger. It's going to be an activation on reminding us of how much pain we're in still, how much we desperately want to heal these particular wounds, when we are kind of struggling with dealing with the idea of who it is that we now are. And I say this because many of us have just gone through a very deep, dark transformation of loss, whether you're losing people, you're losing possessions, you're losing titles, you're losing a sense of self, a sense of direction. There is a certain loss going on. And Chiron, being retrograde in Aries, has been trying to teach us where there is this reinvention of self, where there is this rebranding of self, by illuminating for us what it is that we've become overly attached to here in this physical realm, as far as, people and places and possessions and ideas and titles. And because many of us have been stripped away of some of the things that we've been overly attached to, we're kind of questioning, like, who are we now without, this person, or without my job, or without this title, or who am I without this certain belief, or this certain dream, or this certain path or direction? There's a lot of questioning going on because, of course, we're in an adjustment phase here. But this is kind of putting us in a little bit of a cluster F in our mind space, because we're taking cues from our outside realm here and seeing our landscape change, especially where relationships are concerned, because we're in Libra season. And we're really just starting to be triggered and activated by what it is that we're taking in from our outside realms. And then we're kind of questioning, who the hell are we now? Like, what does this mean for us? Who am I supposed to be? Who do I desire to be? What am I supposed to do? Where are the roles and responsibilities coming at me because of the ever-changing landscape? So this is definitely a highlight on where it is that we're not feeling so hot, not feeling so safe and stable and secure. But again, we have to sit in this uncomfortable funk, if you will, in order to figure out where it is that we need to start pouring our time, energy, love, attention, and focus into, especially when it comes to building new aspects within ourselves and within our physical realities. So the sun is going to trine, which is a beautiful energy, with Saturn, Mr. Karma himself, who is still retrograde in Aquarian energy. We have the sun in Libra energy, which is an air energy. We have Saturn in Aquarius, which is an air energy, which means that this is an air trine. And what this means for us is, first of all, we're having an epiphany. Okay, there's a bright light popping off, because this is shining a bright light, of course, the sun. Let's break it down. The sun shines a bright light on where it is that we need to pour our life force energy into. And the sun is in Libran energy, so we're pouring into all the extremes that we're thinking and feeling and experiencing in order for us to achieve balance. We are shining a bright light on where it is that we are fixated on things not being fair, or the injustices that have taken place, in order for us to kind of end up with a acceptance or a state of peace that we're able to finally get to accepting some of the terms and circumstances that do seem very unfair and kind of unjust, I guess. And of course, we're looking for harmony at the end of Libra season. So we're going to be shining a bright light on all the places in our lives, within ourselves, within our circumstances, that we're not feeling so harmonious, right? So this is, again, illuminating the extremes in order for us to kind of identify where it is that we need to pour more time, energy, and attention into stabilizing some of these things that we're really hoping to achieve. Now, Saturn, on the other hand, Mr. Karma, rules over roles and responsibilities, especially where karmic lessons, soul contracts are typically ending, new ones are beginning. There's a shift in power. There is a shift in needing new systems and foundations and structures put into place in order for us to, I'm going to say, rebuild what has fallen apart. So this comes with a lot of clarity, but it isn't like, oh, la la land clarity. It's like we're thinking very logically and practically, right? Now, this air energy rules over our mental plane. It rules over, information and communication. And right now there's a lot of information coming in. We are recognizing where it is that there has been a shift in our lives that requires us to boss up to new levels of strength, of responsibility, of, I'm going to say, discipline. But with that, it's almost like, a lot of the times, especially as of late, we've been feeling like the weight of the world, like a existential dread with all of the roles and responsibilities that are being asked of us. This is a shift. This is a lighter vibe because it's an air energy. It's almost like we are accepting of the roles and responsibilities put on us. It's almost like we are accepting and proud of our strength, of our ability to be resilient, to persevere, to step into roles that we wouldn't have asked for ourselves. And there is an element here where we are kind of communicating our thoughts, our ideas, our position of power, with a sense of pride and with a sense of acceptance. And for many of us, this is a huge marker in the change and the shift of some of the circumstances that we've been dealing with, because we're bossing up. And we're not bossing up complaining. We're not bossing up, dreading what it is that's going to be required of us. It's almost like we almost feel like a sense of honor at this point that we are put in the positions that we're currently in, that we have learned the lessons that we've had to learn, that we are now in a leadership role, that we're in a state of power, we're in a state of control to really start to rebuild and restructure our landscape, especially to do right by other people. Because of course, this Aquarian energy is about the collective. It's about doing what we think other people want us to do or what we think other people are expecting of us to do. But it's not coming with a heaviness. It's not coming with a sense of dread. Like we're actually super honored, super proud that we're in the position that we're currently in to boss up, to have this power, to have this ability to really kind of show ourselves and the world and those around us what it is that we're actually capable of. So that's a positive thing. The moon is going to bump into Venus, though, shortly after, and Venus rules over Taurus energy, so it's always a little bit of a power struggle when the moon in a certain energy interacts with the ruler of the energy that the moon is sitting in. And Venus, of course, is in Libran energy. And everybody, I think there's a misconception about Venus being in Libra. Everybody thinks, oh, this is a great time for love and a great time for romance and a great time for beautiful things and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, okay, you might end up there. But you got to sort through the shadow elements of Venus being in Libra first to arrive to those beautiful things. And Venus being the goddess of love and beauty and worth and value in Libran energy, well, the shadow element of that is indecisiveness and doubts and insecurities and feeling like you have to be validated by the outside world and not having confidence and not really loving yourself. This is a whole process. And so, the moon in Taurus interacting with Venus in this way does kind of offer us a little bit of a learning opportunity, if you will, but it comes with kind of using the outside world right now to mirror back to us where it is that we got to kind of bump up some self-love, some self-care, where we got to take care of ourselves first and foremost, where we got to stop being concerned with how everybody else is doing and just kind of check in with ourselves and see where it is that we may need a little bit of love. We may need a timeout. We may need a little bit of pampering and nurturing, and we're not looking for other people to provide this to us. We have to look within ourselves to provide this to ourselves. So what I will say is that this is likely going to come from the outside world where people are asking too much of you, or, other people needing your attention, other people needing your time, other people needing you to make a decision. And it's almost like, whoa, okay, that's great. I'm so happy to be so valued and so needed by everyone else. But guess what? I need me too. And I haven't had time to give myself what it is that I need in order to fill up my cup. And there's no point in trying to pour from an empty cup because you're not getting the best of me. I sure as hell ain't getting the best of me. So again, the moon in Taurus is just kind of like, hey, maybe we have to stop thinking so much outside of ourselves here and pull it in. Maybe we need to just, shut off the phones. Maybe we just need to kind of, get in the bath maybe, or curl up with a nice book, or eat a very happy type of vibe meal. We want comfort, right? We need comfort. and safety and security and stability. And there is no safety and security and stability with Venus right now because she's in Libra energy, hopping from where the scales aren't balanced, right? So she's up, she's down, she's up, she's down. Does she find balance in the between? Maybe for a split second, but then she's up again or she's down again. So at least the moon in Taurus, emotionally speaking, we can find and create stability within our emotional selves. But we have to be able to recognize where it is that the world is asking too much of us in order to block that off until we replenish ourselves. The moon is going to be making an awkward ass aspect with Mercury, who is also now in Libran energy. The chatter in our heads is very loud. We're trying to solve everything, trying to figure everything out. Again, rewind to August 25th up into September 9th. We're hashing things out here. And our heart and our head are not on the same page like they were at the beginning of the day, because, of course, a lot has happened. And the moon and Mercury kind of interacting in this way. Mercury is bouncing all over the place because, of course, Libran energy can't make up its mind, debating the pros and cons, trying to be logical and practical, but too emotional to even, kind of lean into that. And so there is a conflict. And again, the heart space knows what it needs, which is just a little bit of time to get itself feeling good again, to feel stable again, before we go start thinking about the ifs, ands, and buts, and the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, and the possibilities and the opportunities that await us. We just need to stick in this present moment. So again, our heart and head not on the same page at this time. Better to lean into the heart space than the head space at this particular time, because there's a lot more stability come from in the Taurus energy, earth energy, than there is in the indecisive back and forth, up and down air energy of Libra. Lastly, we have the moon semi-squaring, which is a little bit of a tension point, a little bit of a conflict with Jupiter. Jupiter also played a little bit of a part here in the full moon, amplifying everything, just turning the volume all the way up, magnifying things, over-exaggerating things, adding a little bit of spice, adding a little bit of drama, just making everything that much extra. Now, Jupiter is the planet of growth and expansion, beliefs, blessings, abundance. He shows us what it is that we want more of. He is retrograde in Aries energy, preparing to slip back into Pisces energy at the end of the month. Again, listen to the October energy forecast, download your zodiac forecast so that you know where this is taking place in your life and what that actually means for you. Right now, Jupiter wants us to grow. He wants us to improve. He wants us to boss up in the belief that we have within ourselves, within the universe. He wants to show us what it is that we want more of so that we can formulate a plan, so that we can kind of formulate a strategy on how it is that we're going to go after said, wants, needs, and desires. Well, the moon in Taurus doesn't want to think about that. We sure as hell don't want to think about where it is that we came from in order to arrive in this particular moment. We don't want to think about, the future, because that would be taking us out of this present moment. We don't want to think about our to-do list on what it is that we actually have to do in order to achieve the dreams, the visions, the goals that we have for ourselves. We don't even want to think about that right now. We just want to stay in this present moment. So of course, this is why we have this little tug of war, this inner conflict. We're feeling a lot of feelings. We're feeling this tug of war. We're feeling like we're being pushed and pulled, and we're just trying so freaking hard to stay in this present moment and provide ourselves with love and safety and security and assurance. And, we're going to have that magnifying glass from Jupiter come out and just kind of magnify and turn the volume all the way up on our current circumstances and our situations and what it is that we want. And the tug of war, the inner conflict, is going to be illuminated here in order for us to kind of flex our, I'm going to say, energetic discipline to be able to kind of cut that energy off that's asking us to project ourselves into the future, and instead try very freaking hard to stay present in this physical body, in this physical moment. If you want to know how, connect to your five senses. In a moment when you're feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling the push and pull, take a couple of deep breaths and say, okay, what are 5 things that I can see? Look around your environment, identify 5 things that you can see. Okay, what can I smell? identify what smell is coming in. What can you hear? What noises are you hearing? What kind of taste do you have in your mouth? What are 5 things that you can touch with your hands? This is the 5 senses. It brings the energy, the attention, the awareness back into the physical body. That's how we ground. That's how we stabilize. That is the goal for this particular energy and this particular day.